This is Miles Copeland. I'm the manager of the band. And in the great tradition of the Nixon tapes, I have recorded for you the Police tapes.
Welcome to the Super Peaks. I'm Jim Kerr. Tonight, something very special. The Police tapes starring the Police. Recorded in Melbourne, Australia during the Police tour. And some of the most interesting and personal backstage stuff that you'll ever hear. The Police tapes.
Hey, in January of 1980, the Police arrived in Japan for the beginning of their world tour, and I recorded the whole thing. This is Miles Copeland. I'm the manager of the band. And in the great tradition of the Nixon tapes, I have recorded for you the Police tapes. This world tour took us to such exotic places as India, where we were the first Western group ever to play, Egypt, Greece, where we were the first Western group to play since 1969, Portugal, Argentina, Italy, Hong Kong, Mexico City, as well as the more normal places, such as Japan, Holland, Belgium, Germany, England, Ireland, Canada, and of course, the good old USA. When we first arrived in Japan, the first thing we did was to proceed to the local camera shop and bought every conceivable recording device we could get our hands on. I bought myself a small little recorder, easily concealable in my pocket, and I proceeded to record the whole tour. The group were not always aware I was recording them, so tonight, I think you could say that we have captured the group as they really are. The cast of characters you're going to hear are myself and another American voice, that of my brother Stuart Copeland, the drummer of the Police, and 3 British voices, Kim Turner, my partner, and the sound man for the band, Sting, who plays the bass and sings, and Andy Summers, the world's greatest guitarist. And now, let's join the group backstage and the beginning of the Police tapes.
We have another 5 minutes to kill in the dressing room before we go off to the introduction. There's a live audience and all that, and they have to, it has to happen at this particular time. That's the only thing about a live show. Live broadcast.
Sounds like the natives and the rest of us. Isn't it? They're all screaming out there.
They all sing out everywhere. It's great. We're right on stage.
Man's got 2 of them.
It's time to put on your coat. It's time to turn on the lights. It's time to start the show.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to
here we are again.
The most sensational, motivational, inspirational. This is what we call the Police show.
Okay, guys.
Really meaningful.
Let's get our creative vibes together.
Yeah, get out the teapot.
Okay. Yes. That's an audience. What's the sound of?
That's an audience. There's the music. There's the lights. There's
okay,
the band.
ladies and gentlemen, we're about to move out here with the boys. Getting ready. The dynamic blonde trio ready to take Japan by storm.
You gotta go up the stairs.
Andy, a few words before you go on.
We go on for this momentous occasion. We're here at the Budokan. Our hair has been nicely dyed again for tonight, and we're dying to meet our Japanese fans. And this gig will be characterized by raw fish before and after the event. And during.
Go.
Get ready to dance, everybody, yeah.
Rock Commander is a celebration of rock and metal culture. Manage your own rock bands, connect with a passionate community, and experience exclusive collaborations with real bands like American Chaos and Adam and the Metal Hawks.
Standing here in the dressing room, we're about to follow the group out on stage. Here they go.
And now, more of the Police behind the scenes.
Why don't you include lyric sheets in your LPs?
I think lyric sheets are pompous.
It's hard for these people to tell because it's in a foreign language, but really there are no words. It's all just... It's always a disappointment when you see it written down there.
The audience should actually listen very hard to the record and hear what it is. I think to write it down just destroys the magic of the record.
I do too.
Would you say music was international?
I would say rock and roll is definitely international. There are no words of any worth. It's a lot of meaningless sound, but it means a lot. That's what I'm saying. It's not meaningless at all. It just doesn't have any specific meaning. Therefore, it's international language. It's probably the only one we've got.
Welcome back to more of the Police tapes.
This story occurred about 2 years ago in the early days of the police when we were playing, I think, on the Alberto's tour. Anyway, we did a gig in Birmingham one night. We were playing in Birmingham, and we'd arranged to stay at these digs, like an old-fashioned boarding house on the outskirts of Birmingham somewhere. We had no idea where it was. We had to find it when we got there. And it belonged to a lady called Mrs. Hayes. It was her own house, and she put up lodgers. Anyway, we did the gig, and we decided that we wanted to go for an Indian meal. So we called Mrs. Hayes and told her that we'd be late, and she responded with, "Oh, of course, darling," on the phone. And had the Indian meal, and eventually we got to her house at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, she greeted us at the door. Anyway, "Oh, darlings, come in. I'm so glad to see you. It's wonderful. I've been waiting for you. I don't mind you boys. I love you boys," you know. Like, and she called us, and, you know, we went into this house. It was just insane. Like, there was so many things on the wall and in every room. It was just like total... It was insanity. Anyway, she showed us up to our rooms, you know, showed us into our beds, and we, all three, Sting, Stewart and I, were all in one room, 3 beds in one room, and she asked us what we wanted for breakfast in the morning, and then she was laughing and cackling at the top of her voice, told her that's how everybody in showbiz had stayed at her house, and she started, you know, her whole life story was coming out. Anyway, we sat there and listened to all this. Finally, we went to bed. Next morning, at about 10 o'clock, we were all there, soundly asleep, and there's this... Ah! The door bursts open, and in charges Mrs. Hayes, screaming at the top of her voice how glad she is to see us, and, you know, and everything. She pulls back the sheets. It was incredible. Oh! We were just totally astounded. And then she started lifting up and going, "Oh, look at this!" You know, and, like, it was just the most amazing scene, and we were all lying there, like, stupefied and starting to giggle away. It was just an absolutely incredible scene, and she started recounting her whole life again and going on. Amazing. Anyway, eventually we went downstairs to breakfast and sat in this room, just beyond description. It was a mad person's room. We were having breakfast, so we all sit there. It was, I think, it was Sting, Stewart and me and Kim, maybe. We were sitting around the table, and we all had this breakfast, you know, 1 fried egg, 1 piece of fried bread, 1 bit of toast, and 1 cup of coffee. We all had this one thing each, you know, like it was all set out. Eventually, we got through that, and she was bringing it on. She had this very strange daughter that was like, I don't know, something out of a cave. We had the breakfast. Stuart made the fatal mistake. All this time, she's been incredibly cheery and jovial and, like, bursting with goodwill. Then Stuart asked for another cup of coffee. Wrong. That was it. Chief just freaked out. "Oh, you're taking advantage of me. You're so cruel. You're so cruel to me." Unbelievable. She just ran completely up the other end, freaked out, was screaming, slammed the door, ran into the kitchen and was crying, and she chased us out of the house. Hammering on the side of the van. And that was the story of Mrs. Hayes.
Very good.
And then there was the other one where Sting and I actually slept in the same bed one night in Paris, and Henry was with us.
That's right.
And we all struggled. It was when we went to play Mont de Marsan. Everybody stayed in this hotel in Paris, and we went up about 50 flights of stairs to get to this tiny little attic. And the 4 of us were in this one room.
Well, there was 10 bands and 5 journalists all staying in this one hotel that had about 5 beds for all these different groups. But because I was the only member of the whole crew who spoke French, and, you know, like, the police being the only people experienced in, like, being on the road and stuff, immediately got to the front of the queue.
Yeah,
and we managed to get ourselves, like, actually 3 beds for the 4 members of the group, which were better off than any of the Jam or any of the other groups who were stuck in the hotel.
We all got to the stairs, but Stuart and Henry got to the room first, and they bagged the 2 beds, you know. Sting and I walked in, and they were both in their beds like this, you know, like, and Sting and I were left with a bed, you know, in between, you know, like stuck in one little narrow bed together.
Well, when did you get that saxophone? Can we assume that the saxophone will begin to creep into this material?
It won't creep. It will
blare.
No, it won't blare. It'll land decisively. It will be dropped on the material.
Here we have Sting with his new saxophone. Give us a song.
We're rejoining the police backstage.
It was actually the end of our first real world tour, the first time we ever went around the world. And we'd gone to America, across Hawaii, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, up through India and Egypt, and then we went into Greece and Italy, and then we went into Germany, Spain, Portugal, then we went to Germany, and it was the last gig. And we got through it, you know, through hell and high water. And I was singing in the middle of the set, and my voice was just going. It sounded like a crow. And I realized that if I sang Roxanne, which has some very high notes, there was a chance I could lose my voice entirely, completely. So I turned to Danny, my roadie, and as dramatically as I possibly could muster, I said to him, Danny, before we get to Roxanne, you have to pull the plugs out of the whole building, because we can't just walk off. So that's what happened. Halfway through Message in a Bottle, the song that precedes Roxanne, they turned the power off, bless them, and saved my voice.
The girls are exuding their breath so fast that it's causing this wind to be blown. Gate's sitting on it. Okay, encore?
Yeah, all right.
Guys, give it to the girls. Hold it, they're going really berserk. They're going really berserk. I think they want another one. I think it's definitely another one.
We're going to go on, Miles. Few miles, we're going to do it.
Great one. Conquered.
I'd like to say to the audience that just to sit and gawk at us as if we're, you know, entertainers is only half of the act. The other half of the act comes from the audience. I'd like to see the people going crazy, standing up, dancing and shouting. That's, you know, it's exciting for us. I don't want to be looked at like an exhibit in the zoo. I hate that.
Another one? I'm stunned because I just seen the infinite, didn't I?
Well, there you are. You said it again.
I'm speechless. Well, I'm going to go out and interview some of the crowd and ask their opinion, and we will see whether they think it's infinite. We will rapidly approach the stage area from the backstage, hoping to catch a glimpse of a few fans. And here we have a fan right here, a typical police fan. Yes, she is. She's ecstatic. I can see the glazed look in her eye. Excuse me, miss, would you like to say a few words about the concert? That's it. Here we have another police fan. Would you like to say something, miss?
Joe?
No. Well, they're all speechless here.
Yo, can I have a drumstick?
Hey, can we have a drumstick?
So what did you think?
It was damn good.
It was good. It was good, man. It was good.
But you're all Americans. What are you doing here?
I'm not American. I'm Irish. I'm Irish.
Okay, Dutch, Irish. What is this, the United Nations?
No. Yeah, they send Hollanders.
People give me drumsticks. Guys, drumsticks.
They send Hollanders.
Police.
Ik kom van Zuid-Afrika.
Hey. Who's Dutch?
Hey, man, what are you in Swedish?
What?
Who's Dutch and who's Swedish?
Swedish.
There's nobody Dutch and Swedish. One American and two British.
English, yeah.
No, we've got two Americans here.
And a Dutchman right
Oh, they with the group. What did you think of the show?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from the States.
Ah, hello, okay. You thought it was good, did you?
It was excellent.
Have you ever seen him before?
What?
This is the first time?
Well, kind of. Yes. Hey, can we have backstage passes?
Do you have backstage passes? I'm afraid. Well, we'll have to see about that.
Do you want to do it? You
No. What?
I have to get down there.
Luck, I guess.
Well, there you have it, behind the scenes with the police. Sting, Andy, Stewart, as they really are. And by the way, my tape recorder is still running, so you may be hearing from me again. We'll be back with the final word after these messages.